नमस्ते बेटियों, खुश रहिए। I JVN Muskan Kumari from the Department of Science and Technology, and I'm working here as an assistant professor in JVWU Women's University and Faculty of Education and Methodology. So your program is MCLE second semester. You are the students of the MCLE second semester, and today your course name is networking programming, and today's your session is what is the socket address structures. Just before discussing this session, I just want to recall something to you that I have already discussed the what is the sockets, what is the TCP sockets, what are the various functions used in the TCP sockets, like the create your connections, your bind, your relation, and then server are sending you to accept that request, and then you are going to execute that once and then into that once, right? So these are the various operations which is performed in your TCP socket structure, TCP sockets functions. And now the main things is what here I'm just taking one thing here, like what are the various TCP socket structures, isn't it? TCP socket structure is what, and how we are using that ones, and how we are using in that, like the coding to creating the establishment, the connections, and what is the address of involvement of the address in TCP sockets, isn't it? How many bytes of address is used in during the connection establishment. So we will discuss these all things today. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and for making to you one in easy way understanding, I just want to share the word files which is created by me, and just hold 1 minute. I'm sharing that file. Yes, this one is the files. Here, socket address structure. Clear? So what is the socket address structure? Basically, the you can also call the address structure is like the SAS. Okay, so here SAS is between applications and the kernel. This is basically situated between the applications and the kernel. And address connect conversion function translates between text representation. Address conversion function basically what do this address basically use the conversion. Okay, so we can call it like the address conversion. There is a function which is used for the converting the address bytes into the bits and bits into the bytes, or source to the client's server. So address conversion function translates between text representations of address and binary value that makes up the socket address structure. Clear? What happening here, the whatever the address you are using, so that address is basically converted by a function. That function's name is your address conversion function. What will they do? They translates your text representations of the address into the binary value of the address. Clear? That makes your that will make your the what socket address structure, that design your socket structure. Clear? So IPv4 use the internet address and internet network to address, and but inet inet underscore pt on, and inet network to be handle the IPv4 and IPv6. Clear? So here is the word. Above functions are protocol dependent. These two functions, whose functions? This internet protocol to network and internet network to protocols handle the IPv4 and IPv6, but also functions are protocol dependent. These functions are based on the protocol dependent. Clear? So, however, the functions starting with socket, how function are start with the sockets are protocol independent. Okay, so we will discuss also on this one. So most socket function requires the pointer. How many functions? This is already right. That you know also, like what you are using here, the address of the IP, isn't it? What is the client's address, your server address, where you have to send that data? So here is the main role of the address. So obviously you are using the functions, and in that function you will must use the address. Clear? So however, the function starting with the sockets are the protocol dependent independent. Most socket function requires the pointer who contains the address of the pointer to the socket address structure, and also as a monotypes. Clear? IPv4 socket as it is defined as follows, like what? Here, you can see this by in this one. Hereby has include network to network IN.H. Okay, here is the this defines you like what? A structure in address T as address. Okay, address. This is basically containing the IPv4 address, which is in the 32 bits. Clear? And the network byte address, network byte order address. Now, a structured socket address in use. Okay, what is this? Unsigned integer 8 and signed that address length of the structure, length of your structure, whatever you are using here, that is of the 16 bit, and SA family T, and that's family of the internet, and also use the port number here. You are seeing here that what also taking the addresses, isn't it, in address and character, which will count the number of uh, bits which is used here. So this is the basic of the SA system. Just here what string length added in the this BSD, that is showing you the BSD code is not manually supported by the many vendors, and it also facilitates to handling your variable length. Here, so now here see that the various types of command used in the listed below, which is already we have used in the program on the A1. Isn't it integer 8D underscore D? What is this? Signed 8-bit integer. That is using the header but system types dot h. Unsigned 8-bit integer. Unsigned 8-bit 8 underscore D. Unsigned 8-bit integer, which is also used in the sys slash type dot h, and integer 16t means is a signed integer 16 bit. This is unsigned integer 16 bit. This is integer signed integer 32 bit, and unsigned integer 32 bit. What is this? SA underscore family underscore T, address family of socket address structure, address family of socket structure address, whatever the structures you have designed, that's for the socket, that's socket structure. Clear? So now what is this? This LAN underscore T, this is defining you the socket length, which is 32, and in underscore address underscore T, it means IPv4 address normally use the 32 bit. Okay, and this is port underscore T is defining the TCP or UDP port number, normally and normally unit 16 underscore T, that is using the header file what net to net in net slash in.h. Clear? So length field never used and set. It is used within the kernel. Net is never the length of the net is never you can predefine. You can't understand about it. Whenever you establish the connections with the help of the protocols, either you are using the TCP or UDP, then you can define that the length of that one. Clear? Because this depends on TCP and UDP. Now it is used within the kernel before routine that deal with socket address structure from the various protocol packets. Clear? So now come to the next point. Four socket functions. There are four socket functions which is basically used. What? First, bind, connect, send to, and send message. Pass socket address structures and passed socket address structure from source to the kernel. ठीक है. And all invoke shock arguments in bakery derived from the implementation. This is basically finding the implementation part. And this function copies socket address structure and explicitly say to the what to whom scene underscore length member to the size of the structure that were passed. Clear? Now from the application, so to pass socket address to application from the kernel, whenever this is passing, then it is using the accept. What will server use? Server accept that request and received from where they have received that request, and received a request in the form of the message or the data, and get peer name and also get the socket name, and all set to the what in scene underscore length member before returning to the process. Clear? Now scene underscore port and scene family and scene addresses. Here the port number, family, and address socket. Sockets are only the record for the POSIX dot 1G sign 0 is implemented to keep the structure length to a 16, right? Because normally it is about a 16. Generic socket structure is what? Socket address structure are always passed by reference when passed as an arguments to any the socket function. When you are passing any socket function arguments, then we are using here making the socket address structure. Clear? So here is one thing, what integer mine, integer socket ID, and socket address where socket length. Okay, what the socket function that accept these address structures as pointer must deal with any of these supported protocols, and this calls for any functions. What these calls for any functions must pass the pointer to the protocols also. Now, for example, how can you write these ones? Like a strict socket address in the where server side, bind what sockets and their structure address and also the size of that one. So if we omit the cast, C compiler generate the warning of the form also in what is that is in the incompatible pointer with types, and different socket address structures are like the IPv4, which is 24 bytes, IPv6 24 bytes, Unix variable length, and data link variable lengths. Also IPv6 socket structure type is here, and that is the IPv4 type structure which I have discussed on the A1. So this is here, and this contains the 128 bit for what IPv same as the that ones, but here you can see that this is on the 128-bit IPv6 address and network type order, and this is basically by defined as syntax length required for the compile time test and the struct socket integer 6. Here the length of this is struct 24 and this all of the errors. So this is all about this your station, what your sockets address structures, isn't it? So I hope that you haven't got any problem in this session. And if you have any problem in this session, then please let me know while using the comment section box. Please put your query on there, and I will solve that query with you in the next session. And please read this session with multiple standard also book, and use the multiple online sites. Okay.